Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Cinema Smoketography. I'm your friendly neighborhood hookologist. Joining me today is no one. Isaac was a little busy today. He didn't have a chance to actually get to the studio, but we're not mad about him. It's been a pretty busy weekend for everybody due to the fact that it has been Mother's Day and everything, and I am one day late to filming this podcast because I ended up falling asleep last night. So guess what? I'm doing it today. Oh, excuse me. But we are talking about the newest addition to Star Wars animation. Dave Filoni has done it again. We're talking about the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch of clones. And oh my god, the first episode was amazing. I'm going to be talking about the first two episodes because it's been 2 weeks since the Bad Batch came out. It came out on May 4th. May the 4th be with us all. And remember, this is the May. The new addition to the Star Wars fandom. There's May the 4th be with you, Revenge of the 5th, and altogether, this is the May. Mandalorian reference. But the Bad Batch, what could I say about it? I really did enjoy it. The first episode was 75 minutes long. So pretty much mini movie to kind of get introduced to what's happening in the galaxy after the Bad Batches come to be. And we get a lot of references throughout the entirety of this first episode. Let's just start there. We see that a young Kanan Jarrus and his master Dia Palaba, I think I said that name right, I'm probably not, but we are seeing that they're finishing up the war and everything, and Kanan went to go get reinforcements, and he's like, "Where are the reinforcements? How many are there?" "There's only 5. And he's like, 5? And then you see, Clone Force 99, Crosshair, Hunter, Tech, Echo, and Wrecker. Almost forgot his name for a second. Just go ham and do what they do, right? And I see what they did with introducing the young Kanan Jarrus, but they brought back Freddie Prinze Jr. to play Kanan, Caleb Dune, which we now from Rebels grew up to be Kanan Jarrus, but he tried really hard to play young Caleb, but you really just knew it was Freddie Prinze Jr. playing Freddie Prinze Jr. and trying to make his voice crack a little bit, but it didn't really work out. I'm using the Union today, and I'm going to talk about what I'm smoking because I always forget to do it. We're talking about the Bad Batch, and we're smoking out of the Union. I have a mix of Foreplay on peach, because you can't have Foreplay without peaches, orange soda, because Tommy loves orange soda. He do, ooh, and cane mint, right? So we got that in the bowl today, and we're just kind of just, like I said, I'm just going to talk about it briefly as much as I can and talk about the references that we got throughout the entire episode. So after that, they take out the droids that were in the way, and Kanan, or Caleb, I want to keep calling him Kanan, but Caleb went to go ahead and go with the Bad Batch to kind of take out the rest of the droid forces. But we're now finding out the war is about to end because General Grievous was been attacked on Utapau by Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we know that's going on. But what really kind of tripped me out was the timing of it, because they kind of just briefly mentioned it and then they went immediately into Order 66. So I think it was towards the end of that fight on Utapau, and then where Anakin went to the Jedi Temple and Order 66 was executed, which was actually really good. And we're seeing that the clones instantly kind of turned on their commander or their general, but the only ones who weren't really affected were obviously Clone Force 99 because of their mutations and Echo. Echo was a regular clone, but he had a lot of stuff going on through Skekko Minor, right? Sorry about that. On Skekko Minor. So he was already kind of immune to the programming because he's more droid than clone now, as they clearly point out. And the only one who's really kind of affected by Order 66 is Crosshair. And that first episode, you see what happened with Crosshair, because he has his program and he's conflicted, right? And he's like, oh, what's going on? And then when Tech talks about anything on the clone chatters execute Order 66, and it's probably only due to Palpatine's voice, because if we look at it, Emperor Palpatine is the one who executed the order, and I think it's only through his voice is that everyone gets affected. But it also is kind of weird that when Order 66 was mentioned to Crosshair, his mind went to good soldiers follow orders, right, and went into hunt down Caleb. So it was Crosshair and Hunter, and Crosshair gets knocked out by Caleb, and then you see Hunter just trying to help him out, like, we're not here to hurt you, but Crosshair is trying to gun him down, right? So he gets away, and we never see Caleb again, but we see the confliction between, Crosshair and Hunter. Be like, Hunter's like not following this order because he is, I trust my Jedi General, like, I don't know why they're saying they're committing treason, so on and so forth, so they go back to Kamino. And then that's when they all get back to Kamino, and we see that the regular clones, or they call them regs, the regs are just kind of just being super obedient, kind of cold-hearted to Clone Force 99, but that's not anything unusual with them, right? And it's kind of interesting to see. And then we're introduced to a new member of the Bad Batch towards the end of the episode, Omega. Omega is also a clone, but I don't think she knows that. And she's a clone that also has a mutation. So she knew about the clone chips. Tech knew about the clone chips, and saying that they're being programmed. And when we see the meeting where all the clones are rallying behind the Emperor, said we're forming into the first galactic empire, you see all the clones cheering and just being kind of mindless a little bit, because they had a lot of personality before and had a lot of free will. Now with Order 66 being executed, they don't. So it is kind of sad to see that the clones who we grew up watching, I grew up watching them, right? And we see all these different personalities like Rex, Cody, and everybody else being fledged out in character development, now just kind of being mindless. So it was kind of sad to see. So what's crazy to kind of see is that Tarkin is now going to the clone facility to evaluate the clones. And Tarkin didn't like clones, and when we seen him on Skekko Minor leaving the Citadel, he expressed his opinion about clones and how he didn't like them anyways. So they're now, Clone Force 99 was tested after a mission. So they're going to the training facility that we see on Kamino, just like we saw earlier in the Clone Wars series, and everything else like that. And then they stopped using, they stopped using practice blasters and started using live ammo, right? And we see the teamwork of everything about the Bad Batch, and it's just so good to see, right? And and when we see the droids that use for the live rounds, they look very familiar, like how Grand Admiral Thrawn was training with those droids in his training facility in Rebels. So that was actually a good callback, right? And there was a fight in the mess hall, which was actually kind of fun to see, because Omega wanted to sit with the Bad Batch because she doesn't fit in either. The clones don't even like her, so she kind of fills in and fills that little void, be like, oh, I want to be a part of you guys, and the Hunter's like, bro, get away. We're not good. We're not good for you. So after the training session, Tarkin sends them to Onderon to lay down a bunch of insurgents, where we get our next callback to both Rebels, Clone Wars, and Rogue One. So for those of you who don't watch the animated series, it's okay, because there's a couple different kinds of Star Wars fans. People who love Legends of the Expanded Universe, people who only watch the movies, and then people who just watch everything and without the Expanded Universe. I'm referring to myself, because when I was a kid, I didn't read a lot, nor did I like reading. So the only Star Wars I really got were the movies and the TV shows. And that's where I kind of get a lot of my facts. Now that I am a little bit older, I did learn about more of the Expanded Universe and read some of the books. So that's always a good thing, right? But for those of you who don't know, Saw Gerrera is now on Onderon, right? And if you watch the Clone Wars, you know that he was trained by Anakin Skywalker and Captain Rex to take down Separatist forces, and you see that the Bad Batch was sent out to pretty much take out Saw Gerrera and his forces, right? His is insurgents, but there were just people becoming refugees because the Empire took over. And Saul makes a point like you can either stick to the old ways or you can stand and fight for what's right, right? Because the Emperor appointed himself an emperor and everything else like that. And then you see another conflict between Crosshair and Hunter be like, no, we're not going to take the shot because they're civilians, they're unarmed, there's children there, like they're insurgents, we need to follow orders. And the Bad Batch never follows orders, so all of a sudden, you know, Crosshair is like, we need to follow orders, we need to do this, we need to do that, you're not fit to lead us. So there's a lot of conflict in this first episode, and you see it a lot. And I think that they're going to, in the show, they're going to end up making Crosshair like a villain kind of sorts, right? He's going to be hunting them down. So Omega said that, I lost my train of thought, I'm so sorry. Omega said that Kamino's not safe anymore for them or her, right? So they just figure out, oh, we got to go save Omega. And then they end up getting trapped, and then they end up getting themselves out. I know I'm kind of like rushing through this, and there's a lot of stuff I should probably like point out, like how, you know, the droid that was examining Echo after the cafeteria fight was the same droid that helped Fives take out the inhibitor chip, right, for the whole conspiracy arc in the last couple seasons of the Clone Wars. Right, and then there's a lot of stuff that kind of like pictures on between the two series. What I really liked in the opening of the Bad Batch first episode is the fact that they kind of redid the animation for when Obi-Wan and Anakin went to go free the Chancellor and General Grievous, like, Control Bridge, right? So they redid that. That was actually really good to see, right? And they're making this very, very, very reminiscent of the shows and the movies, where we get these cool little callbacks and references, but you know it's its own thing. So when the Bad Batch was taken into the brig, Crosshair was the only one pulled out because his inhibitor chip works. So they enhanced his ship so he comes out more menacing. I want to say, because the Clone Force had their black armor with red stripes, right, and red accents. But now, when we see Crosshair come out into the hangar to see what's going on, we see him in all black, kind of like a dark Death Trooper in a Death Trooper uniform. So maybe he's the first Death Trooper, and that's what all of them are based off of, like old clones or something. That would be really cool to see. So I'm actually like really excited to see what this series is gonna kind of produce. And our second episode is a little bit slower and what I really loved about it is that they really wanted us wanting more the next week. And we're gonna get, I think, 16 episodes, so we're gonna have this all summer long. Right, so I'm super excited to kind of keep up with you guys every week about what's going to happen with the Bad Batch. Our second episode shows that we're going to go back to... Fuck, I forgot the planet. But we go see Cut McClane. And Cut was a clone deserter, right? And Cut decided to, you know, start a life with a Twi'lek wife, and then had 2 adopted kids, and we see Omega has now joined the Bad Batch. And what's really cool about Omega's character is that she is so innocent and so like super sweet, right? Like she's the heart of the show. And what's kind of weird is that Dave Filoni has made like father characters out of Hunter and Mando, and he has like a daddy daughter or daddy son kind of dynamic in a lot of his newer shows, which is cool. I'm not opposed to it. And Omega's a character where it's actually driving the plot forward, right? Because in this next episode, where you see that Hunter's trying to be a father, but he doesn't really know how, and he tries to pawn her off to Cut, because guess what? Like he has a family, he knows how to raise her, and he's trying to figure this out on his own, but he doesn't want to do it a little bit. So that's actually really sweet to see. And then when Omega crossed the fence after learning how to play ball for the first time, right, went out to go get the ball and get attacked by I forgot the animal name. I'm gonna hate myself in the morning for it, honestly. But she almost got attacked, and he was mad at her. And then Tech and Echo found a way to get chain codes, because now we're seeing. This was kind of like what I was going by before. That the clones are now becoming mindless, and kind of like the proto stormtroopers, right? They're just policing everyone, and you can't use your credits, but you need to use chain codes, and it's a chain code to identify you as a person in the galactic registry. So they're kind of keeping tabs on everybody. And Cut can't just go get a chain code because guess what? They're going to recognize he's a deserter. So he's going to go to jail. So they had this whole thing to kind of get chain codes where they had to impound their own ship to get it, and Omega's hiding on the ship. Right? So there was 4 chain codes for Cut and his family, but an extra one for Omega. And before Hunter can even talk to her about it, he's just like, he made the decision for her. And she just felt so bad, like, did I do something wrong? Like, I'm sorry. Like, are you trying to get rid of me? He's like, I just can't do this. And you see that real moment where it's super touching. He's like, go with them. I'm going to take care of you. And there was a moment where Cut almost got caught. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to catch him. He's going to go crazy. And he's going to have to go with the Bad Batch. No, but they ended up, because Wrecker decided to, be Wrecker and start fighting all the regs. And it shows how strong he is as a character, because he took 4 clone troopers and clunked them all together. Right, and it was like, oh my goodness, like it was great. And what I will say about the Bad Batch itself, you really see what Dave Filoni was doing with these characters. Because I saw a video not too long ago, and I was kind of doing my research and doing my own follow up with it, and just kind of getting ideas on how to do my own podcast. Well, we all do. We all take sources from different material, but if you look at it, the Bad Batch is like the original, crew from the Millennium Falcon. We have 3CPO, which is reflected through Tech because he kind of knows everything, and I think he mentioned he knows like several different fucking languages. We have Echo, who is like R2 with the stomp link and everything, and being like the tech savvy person to get kind of hack into everything. We have Wrecker, which is Chewbacca, the big tall one that's super strong, and then Hunter is a mix between Luke and Han Solo. So I heard that, and I'm like, dude, that makes so much sense, right? So it was actually really cool to see, right? And then when Cut was first talking with Hunter and all of them, he mentions that Rex was just there to see him, right? And talking about the inhibitor chips. And that's what brings me back to this whole thing, because Cut even heard Order 66. Right, but I think it's only Palpatine's voice, or whenever they hear it on the clone chatter, right, where they can really hear the execute Order 66 in Sidious's dark voice, where they get triggered. So it could be that even Crosshair went on the clone chatter and heard execute Order 66, and that's why he became that way. So it's very interesting to kind of see how that plays out, and I'm really excited for the next episode. Right, because now the episodes are getting 30 minutes long. They only give us a super long episode because guess what? We got to reel you in and get you all ramped up into Star Wars. And remember, forget about The Mandalorian. It's the Bad Batch now. So I'm actually super excited. Like, I stayed up probably till 1 o'clock. And then I remembered that it was on, so I went to watch it before bed. And oh my God, I loved it. Oh, it was so good. So it's going to be a fun time. Like, I am excited to see. I wish I had someone here to talk about it a little bit more so we can get more thoughts and feelings about it. But honestly, I am just super psyched that we get more Star Wars. Alright, so in the Empire we trust. So I'm actually super excited to see, because we actually are going to have Anakin Skywalker, the voice actor for Anakin Skywalker, to come back in the Bad Batch series. So I wonder what role he's going to play, if they're going to have him as Anakin, like have a flashback with Anakin, talking as Anakin, or he's going to be Darth Vader. So I don't know. So now, at the end of the second episode, Omega ditched Cut and went back to her family, which is the Bad Batch, right? And Hunter decides to be like, you know what, I'm new to this too, let's go ahead and do it together. Right, so we had a very touching moment. So we're gonna see like a whole father and child dynamic between Omega and Hunter, because Hunter's the leader and they all look up to him. And I wonder what they're gonna do with the Bad Batch. Are they gonna end up freeing other clones? Or are they going to end up dying towards the end of the series and only Omega's left? And Omega's like another character. Like, who is she a clone of? Right? Is she a clone of
Cypher Diaz? Is she just some random person that they made a defective clone of? I don't know. Because in the first episode they mentioned there's only 5 clones and they're referring to the Bad Batch and thinking Echo's a defective clone, but he's a Red. Right? So we don't know what Omega's role is, but what I do know is that Omega is just like a character that is supposed to portray innocence. Right? And she can feel something, like when she was talking to Crosshair, be like, I know you're feeling some kind of confliction, something, but it's gonna be okay. Right? Like she has her own like sixth sense. It could be the Force, it could not be, but we don't know just yet. But what I do know is that it's going to be very interesting to see. Like I said, we're only 2 episodes in. We got 14 more to go. If it was, I can't remember if it was 16 or 18, but I'm pretty sure it's 16. So which means we got 14 more episodes to go until we really figure out what's going on. So guys, what is your theories on the Bad Batch? Like, do you think Crosshair is gonna get his inhibitor chip taken out? Or is he the first Dark Trooper? Like, tell me, guys, what are your thoughts in the comment section below? I really don't got much to say because, for one, I'm tired. I had a long day. It's Mother's Day, so I am kind of doing this kind of rushed a little bit, but I understand enough to do this podcast. And like I said, I know I wanted to take the month of May off, but with the Bad Batch, with the Book of Saws, Spiral coming out, like there's going to be some stuff for the podcast to be doing. But guys, that's all I have for you today. Until next time. Keep smoking. Oh, hey, you made it to the end of the video and toward the end of the podcast. Congratulations. Not many people do. But, you know, if you guys like the podcast, be sure to follow us on Facebook under Cinema Smoketography. Be sure to like and subscribe on the new YouTube channel for Cinema Smoketography here. It's got its own channel now. Be sure to like it there. Do follow us on Instagram and or Twitter. Go to look under _hookahologist. And for more beautiful, and if you want to follow me on Facebook, this beautiful face is under Tommy Rodriguez. And until next time, guys, keep smoking.